right. Oh, what an end from Cloud9. Gabe Bizzle again, just monstrously protecting his carries, but also buying enough time for I Love Joseph to go in and finish the job. I think most people would say this was the expected outcome of the series. Cloud9 are probably one of the favorites going into the entire tournament. Cloud9 are probably one of the favorites to win the entire competition. They have performed like this all year long. They have not let up on this kind of level of execution. And a group like this, I fully expected them to go 4-0, and they have done.
Incredible showing from Cloud9. Obviously, they'll make it through to tomorrow. And what can really stop them? That's the big question. Their coordinated team play, their ability to play not only a very early aggressive jungle like a Koshka. We know Joseph's kind of famous for that. And more often than not, it feels like they don't ban the Koshka. We're just going to take it and then control your jungle from the early on. It's a real toss-up in all honesty.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an intense game. I think there was opportunities for Elite8 to try and punish Cloud9. I think the coordinated dive that needed to happen, because again, low priority on movement speed kind of given by the carries there, the coordinated just didn't happen. The coordinated dives just didn't happen. Old School was able to kite back too easily.
Well, Cloud9 go 4-0 on day number 1. We're going to jump onto the analyst desk where they can break down that 2-0 even further.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, we'll break that one down for you. Cloud9 are going to be able to be the first team to finish their group 4-0. A tremendous showing from the North American back-to-back unified champions. They're looking to repeat that championship title on a grander scale here by the looks of things. But phenomenal performance coming out from them. And that means the next series we have, everything is on the line right now between Elite8 and paiN Gaming. Cannot wait to get into that one, but let's break down this game a little bit first. Cloud9, they look like a well-oiled machine, Sweejay.
Yeah, for sure. Elite8 did perform a little better. They got some kills, right? 3-0, looking pretty solid with their focus, their team fights, but Cloud9 just took it away again. Once they hit that mid-game power spike, Blackfeather hitting level 8, Old School finishing his Shiv and Breaking Point. The number of stacks and the way he was cutting and just sticking on the target allowed him to then carry into the game when Rona could not finish off the sky. I mean, the way they were playing was just pretty amazing with their focus and their communication going in and out, when to drop aggro, when to go back in, and Cloud9 definitely showed that they were the superior team when it came to those team fights.
Definitely still a few questions for Cloud9 when it comes to this Turnwalker early game especially, but we'll see if they do continue to try and, continue playing this hero. It's something that everyone has been putting priority on, whether it's banning or picking it very early in drafts. But for Cloud9, I almost expect them to kind of move away from this pick as the competition goes further on, because it just doesn't seem to be as dominant for them as other options that are available.
Correct. And now that C9 have won 2-0, it also means that paiN Gaming going up against Elite8, it's just going to be about that series. Whoever comes out ahead will make it to the quarterfinals. I mean, Cloud9 just secured their spot, and they're like, you guys decide who's going to make it second on your own.
Yeah, now it's time for everyone to scrap amongst themselves. Honestly, Cloud9, I think it was very expected that they come out of this group swinging. They have done exactly what they said on the tin. They've guaranteed themselves the first seed position as well. So going to be feeling confident. But they are going up against whoever comes second in Group D. When you look at the lineups for Group D, whether you get first or second seed, that is still going to be an incredibly difficult opponent coming in for Cloud9 in the quarterfinals. We'll find out who that is later on tonight as we get on through our series. There is a lot to talk about when it comes to Group D, but we need to finish off this Group A first. We need to find out who out of paiN Gaming and Elite8 is going to be moving on into those quarterfinals. But obviously, like you rightly said, Elite8 managed to put up a little bit more of a showing in this second game against Cloud9. Definitely showing some promise. paiN Gaming earlier on today didn't have the strongest showing against Cloud9 either. But I feel like right now, these two teams could be fairly evenly matched depending on how the drafts go and things like that. Do you guys have a prediction or kind of a bit of insight on how we're expecting this series to go?
I do think that Elite Gaming will come out on top. I feel like they performed slightly better against C9 than paiN Gaming has in the match that we saw way earlier in the day. And just how they play as a team against anyone that they go up against. They know their picks better. They know their meta slightly better, in my opinion, than that of paiN Gaming, just because paiN Gaming come from SA, which is a region that is just so far away from everyone else. They're on an island of their own. So my expectation going into that matchup is that Elite8 should be able to come out on top.
Absolutely, we'll see if that's going to be the case. Let's take a look at our rosters coming on into this series. We'll start off with paiN Gaming stepping on up onto the main stage for the first time today. They played earlier on today. That was on the alternate stream. Now they're stepping onto the mainstream as well. So very excited to see the Brazilian boys getting onto that stage, and we'll see what they're going to be able to bring to the table here. I was talking to them during the media days, during their interviews, and they were coming in confident, definitely coming in, you know, these guys are dominant within their own region. When it comes to South America, these guys are the kings. Now the question is, can they bring that reign here to the international stage?
Yeah, and it's not their first rodeo at the international stage either. Some of these players were on this team that was at Worlds. This team has been to VIPLs in the past. They have some of that international experience, but they have yet to be able to really showcase their true power that they have in that South American region. So this is going to be a very, very important match for them, because if they just get one game, they force at least the tiebreaker, but they obviously want to just take this home in this series and get themselves into the quarterfinals. It would be the first time that a South American team has gotten past a group stage of an event.
We'll have to see if it's possible for them up against Southeast Asia as well, a region that across the course of today has been throwing out some upsets. Impunity setting the standard for Southeast Asia. We'll see if Elite8 can live up to that expectation as well.
I mean, what's so interesting is that when we talked to paiN Gaming, like you mentioned earlier, Munchables, is that they actually told me they feel much more confident going up against Elite8 than going up against C9. Yes, they lost to C9, but they were kind of expecting that result. They were realistic with themselves and the expectations going into it. But against Elite Gaming, they said, we know that this is a team that we can go up against and compete and perhaps take the entire series. So both of these teams will definitely try to put everything that they have on the line here, especially since the loser will go back home, and that's going to be quite unfortunate for them.
Yeah, both teams prefer actually mid-game scaling compositions. You can see they both like Blackfeather. Lyra is a huge, huge party pick for both teams. And for me, I think both teams need to work on their kind of team fight. And I think team fighting wise, they're pretty even. So it's going to come down to who's going to get the early lead in the early to mid game and who's going to execute their comp a little better. Because we saw no Lyra combos with Baptiste, Ordains, and Rona from Elite8. And paiN Gaming also had similar struggles against Cloud9. So it'll be a very close match, I feel. And it'll be more exciting to watch because of how close these two teams are.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see exactly that, how close these two teams are, because, you know, they're regions from opposite sides of the world. We haven't seen Southeast Asia against South America. We don't necessarily know where they stand within the power rankings. So definitely a lot will be decided with this series, not just in terms of the results, not just in terms of the group, but also kind of the expectations for these regions in future international events as well. Now let's take a look at the roster for the second team on this one. It's Elite8 stepping on forward to go against paiN Gaming. They've just played against Cloud9 now. Obviously, Cloud9 managed to take that series, but Cloud9 were a heavy favorite to begin with. Saname Save Me, Hun Jaegers, and Official Hein stepping on forward here once again. And I mean, guys, based on that last series that we've just seen, based on the loss to Cloud9, who out of this roster is the one to really step up? Or is this more of another situation where it's all about the entire team playing as a unit?
I think it's definitely going to be about the entire team playing as a unit. You can't really rely on one member when you're going into a matchup that's this important. Obviously, you definitely want to see your carry being able to play an incredible performance and get the kills and get the CS leads. So obviously there's going to be a lot of attention onto Hun Jaegers here, but you need to be playing as a team if you're going to be able to take down an opponent that's, again, seems to be on paper at least fairly evenly matched with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to see them playing as that team unit. We need to see them stepping up here on the stage, and perhaps having just played against Cloud9, maybe they'll be feeling a little bit warmed up coming on into this series, and hopefully feeling ready to jump on into this next best of two.
I mean, as we get into the draft here, what I was going to talk about, the fact that draft is very important for this team, Elite8.
Yeah.
I mean, against Cloud9 in that second game, they decided to go with a very interesting composition against the Chunwalker and the Sky. Chunwalker did such an incredible job of just pulling everyone away from the Sky, allowing her to continue on stacking her breaking point. So Elite8 more than execution, they need to focus on the draft and try to get themselves clear advantages that they can execute on.
Lorelei first ban.
Yeah,
That's
first
not
ban.
something we've seen
Normally
today.
she's second phase ban. Now you leave a lot of power picks open because the Black for the Rona's not banned. The Churnwalker is not banned. So paiN Gaming hopefully will pick up the Churnwalker here because he's such a strong captain. I would say arguably stronger than Lyra because of his kit.
Yeah, and there is a strategy in itself. Don't ban all of the power picks so that you can grab more of them for yourselves. We'll see how that works out for paiN Gaming, banning that Lorelei first. Obviously, Churnwalker available, Arden as well. We've seen both of those being first pick today. Also, Vox, something that we've seen first pick quite a lot as well.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of options, but it is going to be the Churnwalker as expected. And this is just a pick that pretty much every single team is prioritizing when they are on this A side. So I don't think it has gotten past the A side first pick yet today. It's either been banned or taken with that selection. So not surprising whatsoever that paiN Gaming would make that selection.
Yeah, it looks like Arden will be picked up as this pretty much out of Lyra, Churnwalker, Arden. Those are the 3 tier 1 captains that we always see being picked off first. And then normally Vox, the Black Feather, or Rona will be banned depending on which hero they don't want to face and which hero they're more comfortable with. So if they want a Vox, then they probably want to take away like a Black Feather, for example.
Or the Baron. I mean, so at this point, the captains have been secured. The next priority is going to be on that carry role. So you're going to see something like either the Baron into the Vox or banning the Rona to pick up a Black Feather, or banning the Kestrel because that's something that perhaps they know paiN Gaming plays really well, so they're trying to avoid it.
Kestrel is so interesting because in NA, you see Tribe, two Tigers and Maxstream build Metal Jacket. And I feel like looking at EA and SEA, they don't build Metal Jackets against the Kestrel, and I feel like that's why she's kind of more meta in these regions, because they don't know how to effectively counter build and counter her.
I mean, to that point very quickly, when I used to play competitively still, and when I played Kestrel, I would go for the Sword Blade into the Tension Bow specifically so that I have a little bit of armor piercing, so that if I run into a Metal Jacket, I don't have that trouble. But the regular build, the more standard build right now for Kestrel is going Sword Blade, Monocle into a Bone Saw. So you delay your armor piercing until the very late game, which is why the Metal Jacket is so effective against her.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Tension Bow lost a lot of its strength when the health pools increased. So it makes things like this a little bit less viable, a little bit less appropriate right now.
I like the Vox pick here because when Churnwalker lands a hook, he can just Sonic Zoom away from it and it'll detach the hook easily. Vox is a very, very strong pick, and if they pick Rona, Vox again can dance around the Rona along with the Vanguard and a Gauntlet to counter the melee aggressive berserker fighting style that Rona plays. So that leaves options like Weapon Sky potentially, or Baron if they pay Baron into this Vox. Could work, however, Baron doesn't have the best synergy with the Churnwalker.
See, now, there's one thing I do want to question you on is, because you keep saying the Baron doesn't have the great synergy with Churnwalker, but a lot of times when you talk about what goes well with Churnwalker, it's burst and AoE. And Baron is burst and AoE damage, so on paper, it feels like it would be very strong with the Churnwalker.
I guess, why do you think that Baron doesn't synergize well with Churnwalker?
Because Churnwalker has an engage, he needs the hook. Baron is very squishy, so if you engage onto like the Baron, Churnwalker becomes not as effective. So you want like an all-in dive comp, like a Vox with Churnwalker, Rona with Churnwalker, because if they dive into a Rona and Vox, they can just dance around, ult, etc. Baron is a lot more squishy and doesn't have as much protection and tanky that can basically maximize the fertility of life that Churnwalker's hero perk gives in terms of damage reduction and damage sharing.
It still feels like, though, if you're able to stay safe, then with the Baron positioned properly, it works really well with the damage sharing, but it's not going to be something we have to worry about in this game, as it will be the Batiste to pair up with the Churnwalker. And this one's pretty interesting. There's, again, we've seen this composition already. The amount of lockdown that you have is so strong.
Yeah, and it does seem like paiN Gaming agree with you there, so they go with the Rona. I actually want to talk about the matchup between Rona and Vox. A lot of people think Vox counters Rona because he can kite very well and dance around her. Funny enough, while that's true, Rona still does incredibly well against the Vox just because of how much burst she brings with her kit and how durable she is, how tanky she is on that front line. So if you're able to continue on sticking to the Vox, if you use your abilities correctly, gain the first gap closing ability with your foe splitter and then saving your into the fray for when he uses his sonic zoom, you're able to stay very close to him, and the matchup works in Rona's
Alpha
favor.
is a really interesting one because Rona counters Alpha pretty hard. Orange can just out on top of the Alpha, and they can just literally focus the Alpha. The Alpha dives in. Turnwalker can keep Alpha in the ult, and Baptiste can trap the Alpha, and Vox won't be able to do enough damage to kill either the Baptiste or the Rona.
I think this is the first Alpha we're actually going to see of the tournament as well. Is this the second one? Do we see one?
Played it against Cloud9 earlier.
paiN Gaming played against Cloud9 and lost.
Okay, so on the main stream,
On the main stage,
this is the first one that we're going to be seeing. So I'm curious to see how this one's going to be panning out. Obviously, one of the favorites, at least between these two teams, but it's about time we get this game underway. I want predictions for this one, because this one's a little bit more hard to call than the last series. Who we expect to take
I
this
really
one?
like paiN Gaming's draft. It just works together so well. All three heroes that they picked.
Okay, paiN Gaming.
Going to be questioning the Alpha pick with Baptiste and Turnwalker already there, so definitely going to be going with paiN Gaming on this one as well.
I do
paiN
give the
Gaming.
draft over to paiN Gaming, but I think Elite8 just out of better performance when it comes to gameplay and playing together as a unit, they will come out ahead in this game.
All right, we have a split desk on this one. We'll see how our casters are feeling about this one. I want to know how you guys at home are feeling about this one as well. Hashtag Vainglory Worlds on Twitter. Let us know if you're still awake and watching. It's time to get on into the game. It's time to pass it up to our casters and kick off the third to last series of the day.
Thank you very much, Munchables. Here we go. paiN Gaming versus Elite8. Now, Elite8 have already had 2 games to warm up. We'll see how paiN Gaming, who have had a little bit of a rest, match up.
Yeah, again, I think I'm on Suijay and Tasty Bacon's side here. I think the draft from paiN Gaming is very, very good. Now, I think it's very difficult to call which of the two teams maybe mechanically are going to perform better as a unit or individually. I know Elite8 are a great team. We saw them win the Spring SEA Championships. They both had Cloud9 to face, which were both expected realistically to lose those series 2-0. It's so difficult to call where they are, I think, individually, because, again, you just don't see much of paiN Gaming because, obviously, the South American region is quite isolated from the rest. And Elite8, I've seen little bits of them, 6 or 7 months ago, but it's not like I see them regularly. It's so difficult to call.
Well, here we go. Jumping onto the fold, paiN Gaming on the blue, Elite8 over on the red. And like you said, paiN Gaming have a bit of a tough time as well scrimming against some of the other teams because of that distance that they have. But they are the kings of their region. And we'll see if they can take down Elite8.
Again, paiN starting on the inside here, rotating from in to out, which is kind of what Cloud9 did in the previous series. Just means that they can get control over this central Treant, and then in the future they'll be able to then come back to it when they have that spawn up and ready in their minds and look to try and contest it as a unit once more. Interestingly enough, I think we focused so heavily on Alpha in this draft, we didn't really talk about the fact that you have an Arden and a Vox into what is essentially a triple melee composition. Obviously, you have a limited amount of range coming out on Baptiste, but you have an Arden and a Vox into a triple melee composition. Like, if you can actually kite that and kite it effectively, use that gauntlet well, double the gauntlets, you've still got a Vox who is very, very good at running circles around these kind of melee laners and melee junglers like the Baptiste and the Rona.
I mean, it could end up we seeing, like in the Cloud9 versus Elite8 game, where both the captain and the laner, they just rotate together, rotate, and they just don't actually meet each other in the lane. That is a very real possibility. As you can see, they're doing that just now. Hanyega's just rotating down with the Vox. I mean, we spoke about the Alpha as well. Their ability to kind of control this Elder Treant here is going to be pretty strong, especially when Haim actually just reaches the team. But Falcon and Jasmino Ferrer are moving in. Does get the 2 chains here, so there's a lot of regeneration. Nice Torment in. That does actually go over to Elite8. Hanyegas did manage to find it, the securing blow. As the Ordained onto Haim. Should be able to just walk away from that one, not a problem.
Yeah, Jasmino Ferrer just trying to get those chains landed down. Interesting that Official Haim's trying to go aggressive here. He's now caught between a rock and a hard place.
Oh yeah, Haim going extremely low. Has to pop the flask. Did get a little bit of speed up from the Arden as well, but now he's caught out. Anime, save me. Can't quite get out. He's an odd inch of HP. Bad Mojo will follow him up, though. Falcon finds Burst Blood.
And you're going to see Falcon move into the side of the jungle from Elite8. I wonder how far he'll go. There are back camps up and available for him, and he is going to head straight to those doubles, the highest gold value of those back camps, and he's going to get them and take them away pretty easily here. Big experience boost and gold boost for him. Also going to limit what Official Haim is going to get from this situation too.
Yeah, Hanyega now just forced to clear this wave out as the rest of paiN Gaming do actually end up recalling here, so they will be able to get their items on board a little bit sooner than Hanyega can. However, Elite8 aren't quite satisfied with that. They are just going to start up this Elder Treant, should be able to take it as well. No real interference. Easy money, and even Heim actually clearing away some of these front camps as well. And he saves me, might be in a little bit of trouble, Scoundrel. No,
they're okay. It's just Pharaoh's just going to move in, but realistically, a churn by himself is not going to set up anything pre-level 6 too easily, regardless. Hunyega's in the lane here, just farming up away. He's going to get flanked by the paiN Gaming roster, who...
Oh, Dane does actually land a stun there, pretty big. Oh, Torment as well, going extremely low. Doesn't quite find the second chain. In fact, he was already chained up, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Hunyega's is forced to blow the flask, however.
And that's also the boots burnt as well. So, pretty big set of cooldowns that he's not going to have available to him. Well, you can see Anime Saving's actually gone for an Iron Guard contract. Not a lot of captains have actually done this over the course. I actually do this in solo queue all the time, but I'm unsure sort of its competitive viability, but it does allow you to sustain quite heavily in lane without that healing flask, especially when you combine that with the Book of Eulogies, and, and so on and so forth in the laning phase. You get a lot of regeneration back, but it does limit kind of the efficacy of that contract as you go throughout the laning phase. It kind of outlives its performance very quickly, and then you have to like sacrifice it and go towards a fountain ASAP. But this is something I pretty much always start with this in solo queue, but like I said, in competitive, especially when you're playing a Vox matchup where you have a range advantage regardless, like it seems like a little bit of an overkill, but hey, he's obviously needing it because at this point in time, paiN are really punishing him in the lane.
They're also punishing him in the jungle as well. They are moving up. Hanyega gets pulled in with a Torment. There's the Ordain's going to lock him up. Doesn't quite stun him just yet, but the red mist underneath the turrets. Must summons the courage and takes the next kill. Heim comes in with a nice interception. However, not too much damage. Can't quite finish off Muster.
Good start here for paiN. Again, that composition coming through. Like you said, interestingly enough, not hitting the pain point of the alpha, though. Really hitting the pain point of the laning phase for Hunyega's. Anime and Hunyega's have gone down so far. Again, kills kind of mean nothing if you don't do anything with them. So you need to look to continuously convert your kills into something meaningful on the map that is either going to be turrets, it's either going to be things like Gold Mine. And it's something that the likes of Cloud9 and the upper tier teams do really, really well. Yet to see that kind of level of conversion from the likes of Elite8 or paiN. We'll have to see whether they can do it across this series. Remember, the winner of this series gets through. The winner of this series goes through, and I think actually, if it goes to a tied series, we actually get a tiebreaker in this group. So if it's a 1-1 apiece, it's a tiebreaker in the group. But if a winner, 2-0 winner, takes this series, that is the team that is going to go through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, pretty exciting, and they would have shown much improvement as well. paiN Gaming last year, going 0-2, I'm sure they really want to look for their first win, or first series win on the board. Now pushing up this lane, you can see Falcon now starting to come online, has picked up that Shatter Glass, so he's doing a fair bit of damage, especially with those empowered bad mojos. I'm just going to move in as well, however, not really, a little bit hesitant. He does have Aftershock though on board, and Termination Protocol available.
Decent pickup of the Shatter Glass here that's going to do a bit of burst work, especially to Hunyega's, who's yet to prioritize any shielding whatsoever. But obviously that front line of the Arden and the Alpha, they're going to be able to soak up those bad mojos pretty easily. Alpha's already got some tier 1 shielding. You are just a tanky dad as the Arden. But this is going to be the Gold Miner. Started up here by paiN. Red Mist is going to start to churn. Elite8 do know this is happening. Here comes the silence.
There's the wait for it. Heim's going to just face check this brush. Ordain's going to come out as well. He's going to lock him in place. Hunyega's is going to be able to get out of there. Red Mist opened up. Heim's going extremely low. Popped into the passive. The Gauntlet, the cage gets laid down behind. Already falls, and they're going to be able to secure the Gold Miner as well. paiN moving forwards. Anime Save Me hides underneath his turret, but losing one in the Gold Miner. That could result in a lot of damage on this tier 1.
Rubbing salt in the wounds. They're even going to potentially go for this turret. The Red Mist is going to start to churn.
Oh, it should just be able to take it out pretty easy with a couple of bad mojos. There's paiN Gaming taking the first turret of the game.
I love what Muster was doing on that Rona. He was basically using the Red Mist as a zoning tool. Yes, okay, Jaswina Pharaoh and Falcon were doing the tanking and the majority of the damage to the turret, but he was using the Red Mist as a zoning tool to not allow Hunyega's or Anime Save Me to get into a position where they could try and defend the turret on the forefront. He was essentially saying, if you want to get to the guys taking the damage from the turret, if you want to go deal damage to Falcon or Jesuino, you actually have to get through this huge whirlwind of damage first. And I love Ronas that use that as that ability to as a zoning tool, not only as a way to sort of win and sort of dominate team fights, but also utilize it as the fact that it is a giant churning area of death that you shouldn't step in. That was a really nice use there from Muster.
Really nice use of words as well, Alexander.
I'm sorry, I'm 21 hours like awake right now, and my vocabulary has gone out the window.
I'll buy you a dictionary, it's all good.
Thank you.
It's not a problem. Now Muster just being able to clear out this lane. With this turret down as well, does mean paiN are going to be able to push inside Elite 8's jungle now. And it's up to them to kind of react. However, with Anime Saves Me, his ultimate available in a couple of seconds here as well. I'm trying to get over the wall there. Didn't quite find the Prime Directive on the Elder Treant.
Really important item spike picked up by the Alpha. She's one of the main users of this Aftershock. This is on 2.10 where Aftershock got a 1% nerf, which was super impactful. But it still means that Alpha, you know...
Dane, there comes the cage. It's a fight. That fearsome shade already sends Heim packing. He's just going to go down again. Jaeger's now in the front line, just gets torn apart. paiN fine too, and it's Anime Saves Me not saving his team this time around. And paiN really, really showing what they're made of.
Alpha yet to pop a ultimate whatsoever, so he's always getting put into her heroic perk without even using her ultimate. So that's, again, a bit of a misplay. Hasn't been able to get into sustained fights utilizing that Aftershock with the core charge whatsoever. It has been literally paiN Gaming freight train throughout the entirety of this game so far. The one, I think, saving grace lies in Jaeger's. He's going to farm up, he's going to get towards that 3-item spike, the 3 offensive item spike, and he's going to look to try and do what Vox does best and kite sort of heavily against this triple melee composition in the late game. But that is a fair way off, in my opinion. I think he needs a reflex block. I think he needs his final item be that, whatever it's going to be, a Bonesaw. Maybe Bonesaw will be the most applicable in this game, but you could even go for a Sora Blade if you wanted to. But you definitely need a reflex block, because if Ordained locks you down or you get pulled in by Torment, you are not going to have that ability to kite very easily.
paiN Gaming proving that they really can push teams to their limits and push Elite 8 and force them to make mistakes and then capitalize on it as well. Anime Save Me went for that engagement, remember. He did lay down the cage and just wanted a fight. However, like you mentioned, Heim not popping his ultimate there. Didn't actually want to go for the giant explosion, just try and do some AoE damage. The problem was Muster and Jasmine Farah are already on top of him, and they are way too tanky at this point in the game as well. And even that fearsome shade just completely annihilated.
Well, you lose your ultimate if you don't use it, so you might as well use it. It buys you time, and then it gives you a little bit of a zoning tool with the explosion.
Ooh, wait for it does come out. There comes the cage again. Ordain's going to lock Anime Saves Me in. A nice trespass is going to send Ardent to death. And that'll be Heim in the front line again. Just doesn't use the ultimate. Just didn't want to click the button. And now it's only the Vox to just scoot away. And that'll be paiN Gaming securing that Crystal Sentry. 2 kills and a turret.
Seriously, use it or lose it. That's how Alpha's ultimate works. If you just don't click the button, it's going to go away anyway. It buys you a bit of space, but obviously I don't think it would have had much impact across these last few fights. paiN Gaming are just rolling through 7,000 gold in the lead right now. Jasmine Farah now also with Echo on the horizon is going to allow him to get the double trespass off if he absolutely needs to, which is obviously fantastic. Deals with at least one of those crucibles. We're not seeing 2 yet, but you know, some people do often play 2 crucibles into sometimes heavy Echo Captain CC.
You never know, Heim might actually take up that burden of taking the second Crucible. We'll have to wait and find out, because in all honesty, it's all been about those trespasses. Even the Torments are doing a lot of work for the moment. And Muster's just making good use of that ability to just jump into the fray as soon as someone's pulled back. They're going to be able to take the Gold Miner as well. Red Mist is going to be able to help secure it. paiN Gaming, right now, they are 7,000 gold in the lead. They are 7-0. They've got 2 turrets. What more can Elite 8 really do right now in order to stop the steamroll that is paiN Gaming?
Well, I think it's turtle game for Elite 8 right now, right? I said their win condition has now gone from Alpha. Alpha is no longer a win condition in any way, shape, or form. It's all on Vox at this point. Jaeger's is going to have to be the carry machine for this team if they are to succeed. Looks like he's actually going to go for a Sora Blade. I probably would have gone for the Bonesaw myself, but again, both of them work perfectly fine. Just he needs that 3-item spike. He needs to get a reflex block behind him, and he just needs to have almost pinpoint perfect positioning. Alongside that, Anime Save Me, he finishes up that Echo. Maybe then you're going to have the ability to zone out this heavy melee composition with all of those walls that you have to kind of negotiate your way through. So There are specific breakpoints for Elite 8 here that could give them a road back into this game. But even if they find those breakpoints, you're still, what, 7,000, 8,000 gold behind your opposition. That's 7,000 or 8,000 gold worth of infusions or items that's going to give them just a pure stat advantage in a fight. Even if you've hit these major power spikes for your team, that power spike could be well below where the enemy team is regardless because of that gold difference.
Right now, we've got to see if Elite 8 can come back into it. And it might just hinge on Anime Save Me just pulling out a double gauntlet. If he can pick up that Echo in time. Right now, their base is in very major threats. paiN are going to have to just play this one out like they've been playing it. They just kind of send Just We Know Farah forward, get a couple of hooks, torment them backwards, let Muster just charge into the fray, and then pull them away from there.
I'm seeing a lot of Cloud9 in the way that paiN are playing this series, actually, and we'll have to get a fight.
Or Trez, there's the Trespass going to get blocked this time. Red Mist now churning through Save Me and the Alpha. However, that cage will get laid down. Doesn't quite find any stuns just yet. Ordain the second Trespass to stun. Nice into the fray, lands on 2 members. Anime Save Me does manage to get out alive for the time being, but the carries are forced underneath their turret.
Don't get any kills though, so that might not be enough for paiN to look to capitalize on this turret. They have to go up against a fairly healthy team at this point forward. No Crystal Sentry lives remaining, and like I said, this has been a very Cloud9-esque game from paiN Gaming, just taking global objective after global objective off the map. Muster has gone for the Journey Boots. I thoroughly approve of Journey Boots, especially if you're trying to chase down a mobile target. It's something that we've seen Ronas do today, and it has been helping Sir Muster. He's 4-0-3 at this point in time. There are Metal Jackets starting to open up as well. Falcon's got his. I imagine Sir Muster is going to work towards that or an Atlas Pauldrons. Again, like I said, just massive item spikes starting to open up, and that's just that gold advantage that paiN have.
Exactly that. I mean, this, if you honestly remove the names right now, you'd think maybe this is a kind of game 3 from Cloud9 versus Elite 8, but this is only game number 1 of paiN Gaming versus Elite. Now, the question is, really, do they kind of force something here? They've got 20 seconds till that Kraken spawns. They could easily set up some kind of sneaky maneuver because they took that Crystal Sentry down earlier. Another 12-minute elimination of that Crystal Sentry just shows how aggressive these teams at Worlds are playing. They are just pushing their advantages time and time again and being able to set up these fights because they know Elite 8 cannot face them in the 3v3. Elite 8 just need to find the one pick-off on Falcon or Sir Muster, just catch them out alone, do a bit of damage to them, but it's so tough for them to do that right now.
I think the story of this series so far, or the day of so far, has been the teams that can execute the early game and execute it well, kind of have those dominant victories. Then it more comes down to that compositional advantage in the late game if it goes further than that. But Cloud9 and a lot of other teams have shown us if you can execute the early game and you can execute well, you just kind of steamroll your opposition.
Snowball is definitely the name of the game right now. That's exactly what they're looking for. 15 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. They instantly start up that Kraken. Elite 8 are here, however. There's a nice chain onto Anime Saves Me. No Torment just used just yet. That trigger, though, almost signaling them to death. Trespass gets blocked. A nice Fish from Shade, though, finds 3, and that will be Jaeger's falling. The cage gets laid down. Hein finally activates that Termination Protocol, but can't quite find the damage. Ends up going down regardless, and that's paiN Gaming finding 2 and finding the Kraken.
Oh, what do you block? If you hunt Jaegers, you don't even have a reflex block at this point in time, so you're relying solely on the Crucible. He manages to get out of the Ordain with the Crucible, but then the Trespass comes in straight afterwards. He was a sitting duck with that meat grinder of an ultimate from Rona. Take a look at it again. See this? Ordained, he gets through. He doesn't even get through. I think he gets chain CC'd from the Ordained into the Trespass, and then obviously from following that, the Fearsome Shade also gets him. And again, it's lack of reflex block potentially causing that. Definitely feel like against this much CC, should have been considering a reflex block earlier, but I thought he was able to get out of the Ordained. I think he literally ran to the edge of the Ordained and got stunned, followed by a Trespass stun, followed by the Fear from the Fearsome Shade. So that Vox wasn't going anywhere. Try kiting when you're layered upon layered of CC landing on your head.
That's quite scary, and I'm surprised Jaeger's hasn't actually got a reflex block right now, in all honesty, with the amount of CC from the level 6 mark onwards. from the level 2 mark onwards, in all honesty, with that Ordain. They're going to be able to open up the base here. Another Ordain lands. It's going to land on Hun Jaegers. He just gets annihilated. Trespass not even needed. Did get blocked in the end by Elite8, but 2 members falling extremely low. Termination Protocol, and he explodes. But the problem is, you've got no damage, and that will lead paiN Gaming to take 2, take the base, and take game number 1.
Very, very dominant from paiN Gaming. Very Cloud9-esque, like we said. They took global objectives, they focused them, they took aggressive team fights, they didn't hold back, they found their opportunities to engage. Looks like they learned some lessons in that series that they had up against Cloud9 earlier today, and I think that the desk really summed it up before we even got into the game. Compositionally, paiN Gaming just had the better composition.
Maybe Elite8, the fatigue is starting to set in, quite possibly. Maybe those 2 games were kind of more exhausting than you can kind of make it out to be. I mean, Cloud9, they kind of run him through the blender. It's exactly what paiN Gaming just did. We'll see if they can come back in game number 2, however. There were glimmers of hope, especially with those Ardent Gauntlets. They were landing pretty nicely. It was just the problem was, like you mentioned before, as soon as you take control of the early game, teams are so advanced now, they're just able to snowball it so easily.
Yeah, I just don't understand the alpha, personally. Like, Rona is good into alpha. You've seen Rona, you pick alpha. Like, there are a lot of other picks that I think could have been brought out. Maybe going for a heavy ranged pick, for instance. But like, that was a composition that was better from paiN. They executed it, deserved to win.
Exactly that. paiN take game number 1 over Elite8. We'll jump onto the desk and they break down the paiN victory even more.
Coming out from Brazil and looking incredibly strong here against Elite8. Phenomenal performance, a flawless victory coming out from them as well. This was not the prediction across the board, gentlemen. What went wrong here? How did paiN manage to turn everything on its head? Araki Zoro, I can see you smiling over there. You were the one that got the prediction right here.
I'm smiling more at the screen in front of us that's still covered, but it was the paiN train. I mean, coming out, I did expect Elite to take it just off of playing better, but paiN Gaming definitely showed up to be the better game in this one match. I mean, they played their composition very well. Execution was very impressive. They had the power spikes they needed and capitalized on those advantages to close out the game.
Absolutely. I think I might have the predictions wrong in my head. Maybe they were the other way around on that one. It's getting late on this
that
one,
was why
ladies
we
and
both
gentlemen.
looked over towards Araki Zoro as well.
It's definitely getting late. It's 11:30 in the evening, in the PM here now in Singapore. But let's break this game down a little bit here because paiN absolutely ran away with things. This was not a close game here for Elite8. What was the difference here between the paiN Gaming we saw earlier on today on the alternate stream against Cloud9 and the paiN Gaming that just demolished the game?
I think they had an excellent draft, and that's where it all started. I mean, they had 3 kills in the early game, and it went to 8-0 within 9 minutes of the game, and just kept abusing and pushing it. And then for some reason, Elite8 was trying to force fights in jungle, and Rona into an alpha. You know, you saw the alpha just couldn't do much. Churnwalker gave that the damage reduction and also the damage sharing for Rona to really excel. And you saw alpha. It doesn't matter if she termination protocol. She was just deleted when Baptiste and Rona focused her. And then from there, Vox just didn't have any protection. Ardent Gauntlet didn't last long enough, and Vox didn't do enough damage. And paiN just ran away with it.
Well, Churnwalker first ban into Lorelei first ban. You guys can't see the draft, but I can because I have the screen in front of me. Your guys' screen is covered, so.
I can see it.
Oh, Lance! Finally, Tasty Bacon.
Lance
You're gonna get
I
to
told
see
you
the
to come out
Lance.
today. I called it at the beginning of the day. We would see Lance at some point today, and it happens to be here in the final game, potentially, of Group A. But Lance going to be coming out onto the fold. You know, you asked what was different between the paiN Gaming earlier in the day versus the paiN Gaming just now, and I think we do have to be a bit honest here. The big difference was their opponent. You know, playing against Elite8 versus playing against Cloud9. I think anyone would choose to not play against Cloud9 there. But as the draft continues, it looks like it's going to be the Black Feather banned away now by paiN Gaming. So a smart ban, just taking that off the board when you don't necessarily have something to hard counter, because the Rona can be dealt with by a Lance.
Absolutely. It's going to be the Ardent as the response there. Now, paiN have to decide what they want to support this box.
I mean, the last pick, yes, okay, it's very exciting as a first pick, but they still had Lorelei or Lyra open. So I don't really understand it. Elite8, so far, the games they've lost, in my opinion, okay, finally have the screen in front of us, but the games they've lost, have all been about the draft. They draft these compositions that are not so great against what they're playing against. And the Finn actually works really well against Lance.
I love Finn into Lance because Lance can't displace Finn. He's immovable, right? And he can't be stunned. So Finn actually is a huge counter to Lance. As soon as he maxes his Quibble, it can stun Lance, and it's basically just disables him. So Finn is actually really, really good into the Lance pick.
Yeah, Celeste is going to come through, but I want to talk about this Finn a little bit more because we mentioned earlier, or at least I did, when we were talking about the Lance and why I thought it would be picked up here in this meta is the echo changes for the low cooldown abilities.
Right.
When you think about Finn with an echo, you always think about the forced accords, but you can echo the Quibble on Finn, have that low cooldown, and have massive impact with those stuns as well.
If they pick Petal here, they win the draft. So let's see if Petal will be picked, because with Petal and Finn and Vox, they can just dive onto Celeste or dive onto Glaive. Petal is mobile. She can dodge a route. She can jump around. And with Petal ulting, slowing the Celeste, Vox jumping on her, Finn, polite company pulling her in, that's going to be a very strong composition.
Right,
I would disagree there because Petal, I mean, you could try to push the early game advantage and try to snowball the game, but if you're not able to close out, going into the late game, you have a huge range of disadvantage. With Vox and Petal trying to dive onto the Celeste, that's going to be very difficult, especially since the Celeste can clear her minions very effectively. Regardless, it is the Taka going to be as the last pick, and that's a hero that can dive onto the Celeste a lot better.
Yeah, they're definitely going for this protect the Celeste sort of style, but it's going to be interesting because they don't really have to worry about the Finn in that. As long as they block the forced accords, Finn shouldn't really be an issue for them because of the range advantages that you were just talking about. So it's really just about Taka being able to dive in and get onto the Celeste. Obviously, he's going to have a great time at doing that. But if Glaive is ready with the afterburns, as soon as Taka kitens, he should be getting afterburned back away from the Celeste, and they can create a distance between them. And this Celeste pick should actually be able to do a lot of work in this matchup.
There's also kind of a triple CC composition coming out from Elite8 here. If they can combo the 3 stuns that they have, the Afterburn, the Celeste stun, as well as all of the CC coming out from a Lance, there is potential to lock someone down for a very long time. That's enough to win a team fight on its own right there. And also, I just want to bring attention to the fact that if Elite8 can take this game, they're going to be going to tiebreakers right here. We need to see paiN taking a 2-0 if they want to lock their spot in for the quarterfinals, if they want to move on in this tournament into those quarterfinals. But Elite8 definitely not going to want to go down without a fight here. Their tournament life is on the line on this matchup, and they definitely have the composition to do it. How are we feeling about this game then, gentlemen? Do we feel like a team has an advantage here, Suijay?
I think the draft is pretty even. Late game, definitely Celeste is going to carry really hard. So paiN will have to really shove the lane, because Finn actually is really strong in lane with polite company and Vox. They can push the lane against Celeste and force jungle rotations.
Okay, so
I think paiN will take it.
paiN?
I'm going to go with the opposite of Raki Zoro's Game 1 prediction. I think the draft is better for Elite8, but I think paiN are going to be the better team on the fold.
All right, 2 for paiN.
Let's do paiN all 3 for us.
All right, we have a full house of paiN supporters right here. It's time to get on into this game. It's time to pass it over to our casters once again and get the second game of this series underway. It's time to decide this group.
With an almost perfect game in game number 1, paiN took it. And now we'll see what happens in number 2. Will it become a tiebreaker here? Will paiN Gaming take it to a 2-0? We'll have to wait and find out.
We've seen a lot of this Celeste-Vox matchup over the course of today. We saw G2 find a way to exploit Celeste, who doesn't traditionally build any armor. You dive her with that heavy critical strike base build. 4 items on Vox. It's kind of not the normal build that we've seen coming up over this World Championships, but it is a build that deals with Celeste very well. But we've also seen the Celestes that crush the Voxes. So I think this could go either way. If this gets to the late game, I'm kind of in Elite8's camp. I've seen Elite8 play Celeste. I know they are good at it. I watched them play at the Spring Southeast Asian Championships, and they were so practiced with this. So it's something that I know that they can play well. Just got to execute on it when it matters most, and when it matters most is now.
Well, maybe reverting back to comforts is what they finally needed. Elite8 over on the blue, paiN Gaming over on the red. Seeing Finn as well, coming out from Jasuino Ferrer. So we haven't seen all too much of, and Tasty Bacon with the correct prediction on the last stream game of this evening as well, with the Lance pick up for Anime Save.
Yeah, and again, this is very much like they were talking about, kind of heavy protect the Celeste composition. They've got a lot of peel for her. And the only problem that I feel is that obviously Taka's pretty slippery, and he can do a lot to dodge around that Lance disengage. He's also pretty good at dodging out Glaive when he's been searching for an afterburn. So a lot of this will come down to whether Falcon can execute, especially at that level 6 power spike. If they shove that lane in with the Finn and the Vox, put pressure onto Celeste, stop her from getting too much farm, stop her from feeling too comfortable.
Oh, Heim's going to go in, and paiN did end up connecting, but still paiN finding the kill on the Elder Treant. Heim not being able to secure it. It's going to get chased around by Falcon, though.
Going to try and catch official Heim here. Falcon jumping in, got those 2 weapon blades to start. Makes him a bit more powerful in the early game than Attacker would be usually.
Force the Flask as well. They're going to follow this one up. Falcon undeterred. Just we know Pharaoh over to the side of the wall does get the polite company, and that'll be first blood over to paiN.
Wow, really stuck to his target, was waiting for that kiting to come up, and Anime saved me with just the Impale right now. Ooh, he does actually land that onto Falcon. It's going to stop him from backing where he wanted to. But it's a lot harder to hit the Impale onto Attacker like that. Wanted that Githian wall to try and knock him into the wall, but unfortunately Anime saving not level 2, so unable to do so. That is good for the Taka. You know, the more sort of gold you can get him before his level 6 power spike, the more likely it is that he's going to hit something like an Aftershock at level 6, which is going to be such a critical time for paiN. They need to execute off the back of that level 6 spike for Taka.
Wow, big Githian wall there from Anime saving. Actually stopped the back from Musta and just we know Pharaoh. So forcing them to stay in the lane will result in a couple extra minions being missed here by Musta, which is going to be pretty big. Just with Pharaoh, just securing them with the polite company, and it's going to be able to freeze the wave just in front of the turret, so he doesn't lose as much. Minion candy being prioritized quite heavily here by paiN. In fact, Musta has just gone back to get himself a blazing salvo, a pair of boots, and the minion candy.
And Jaeger just rotating in and out of that jungle, picking up a couple of crystal bits on his way back. But like I said, when he gets to level 8, Celeste traditionally decent into a Finn. Finn is a slow-moving and sort of heavy hitbox target. He's quite easy to land supernovas on. So you can stack things like Dragon's Eye easily on him. It used to be that you could stack Broken Myth on him easily, but since the Broken Myth change, you can actually be sort of a target for just the Dragon's Eye builds. Whether he goes for that, you know, we haven't really seen much Dragon's Eye on Celeste. It's a little bit harder to keep stacked if you're missing your skill shots, so the sort of safer build is to go something like a Shatterglass into Clockwork, Eve of Harvest, Broken Myth. That's kind of a traditional 4-item build for Celeste. Wondering whether that you've got a slower, easier target now for Hun Jaegers, that Dragon's Eye will be on the target, even on the cards, sorry.
Ooh. Light Company's keeping Heim at bay for the time being. Falcon's going to be able to just pop into the little rice box. Jaeger's in a lot of trouble. He's on the front line right now. Has to actually pop the boots in order to get out of danger. Musta and Yasuhino Farah following up Falcon rather readily. However, Elite8 are going to be able to just start this Elder Tree, and we'll see if they are going to be able to get the steal. No, they are not. paiN end up just missing that one by an inch. That Githian walls from Anime save me though. They are on point for the time being.
Taka level 4 has the components of his Aftershock ready, only needs a little bit more gold to convert over. If he can hit that before level 6, which I'm absolutely certain that he will, it's a critical time, like I said, for paiN to look to execute. Find the opportunity, jump into lane, X-Retsu onto Hun Jaegers. The problem that they are going to face is they kind of need to force him to use that flask, but maybe they can go in, force him to use that flask, and then come back just a little bit later. It is an easy way to start punishing a Celeste. That's why Taka is good. He can jump over the core collapse, means he can't get stunned. He can dive in and out of the fight, use X-Retsu to get on top of her. He gets through that ranged battlefield of all of those heliogenesis, and he does a lot of damage. A lot of damage, especially to squishier targets.
I think that's the most important factor, in all honesty, that he does a lot of damage. Shot being completed here a little bit quicker than Heim can actually get an item on board. Looking to go possibly the Sorrow Blade as his first item. Or maybe he wants to go something like a Tension Bow for that additional burst damage on the first engagements. Fountain pick up here from Josui Novera as well, so paiN across the board, hitting a nice little power spike drop.
Yeah, Josui Novera, like I said, hit the Fountain. Both teams on the Fountain right now. Again, we haven't really seen any teams get Fountain super early and try and exploit that advantage. Both teams have kind of been hitting it at the same area of the game, if you will. Lots of investment into vision here, though, for Elite8, just looking to make sure they're keeping tabs on Taka. Some people would often go towards something like a contraption, but if you're behind, having a contraption sucks because your vision just gets cleared out regardless, and it feels like a kind of dead item. So it's, you know, Anime Saving might feel like he needs items like Crucible for the Finn more so than he needs to keep tabs on the Taka, so he's happy to spend a bit of gold into Scout Traps or into Flares, and then the contraption can come later down the line.
Oh. Falcon has found himself a glaive, going fairly low. Heim's going to have to be quite careful. Remember that aftershock power spike's already starting to hurt now. paiN Gaming doing exactly what they do best. Be very aggressive early and punish the mistakes. And Haim just overstepped his mark, you feel.
Not much opportunity for paiN to seek in the lane right now. Celeste has been super pushed back, and you saw paiN, Jasmine Ferrer and Muster just shoving that lane in. Here goes the glaive.
Afterburn. Pushes Muster away, however. Nice quibble from Jasmine Ferrer. Can't quite find much yet.
No, he won't get too much out of that instance. Oh, that's a stun.
Core collapse into the Impale. Nice get him all as well. The CC was there, but oh no, the rest of your team and damage was not. Although Jaegers does send a Solar Storm flying, forcing the Fountain actually coming out from Jasui.
Yeah, Fountain's big loss here. They could potentially look to go for a dive if they had the opportunity. No real way to prevent that damage coming out in the dive. Falcon is a little bit behind in levels to Official High, and I think it's just because Falcon has been so focused on trying to look for opportunities to take 1v1s. He hasn't been farming, or actually he's out-farmed. Maybe Official High has just been sharing some lane experience a bit more often than Falcon has while he's been clearing his jungle.
Yeah, quite possibly. Now level 6 has been hit for Jasui. You've got to look at the reflex blocks now, wanting to come out from the side of Elite8. I only see one, and that's on Anime Save Me. Nothing yet for Jaegers. The problem with that is he's not got many item slots left. In fact, he's got 0 with that crystal bit he picked up a couple of minutes ago. Haim hasn't got a reflex block either. Again, filled his inventory up, so this could be a good source of gold for paiN. In all honesty, if they can land a forced accord.
Pressure onto this turret. Fountain up in 4 seconds though, so that small advantage that they might have gained starting to dwindle away. paiN has found a very little pressure in this lane so far. That is positive for Elite8. You know, they have got 2 items on Celeste. It's the Eve of Harvest and the Clockwork. She's never going to run out of energy. Oh, that's a missed forced accord.
Goes a little bit wide. Not even a panic reflex block from Anime Save Me.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have the Crucible right now, so nothing got forced there. That's a wasted cooldown. That could have been a good opportunity to push onto that turret. And like I said, Jaegers is now at 2 items. The infinite energy items of Eve of Harvest and Clockwork, allowing him to clear wave for indefinitely, realistically, depending on how much pressure he receives. But this is just the kind of build that you can sit there, farm under your turret, and feel very little pressure from a minion wave.
Infusions across the board. They want to go for an engage. Polite Company, Exoretsu as well. Core Collapse was good. It's done 2. Wait for it also there, but it did quite miss Anime. Anime is going to be able to back off. In fact, marching forwards now. Impale and Gethium all up in a couple of seconds also. Core Collapse ends up missing, and they go in once again. Exoretsu on the back line. Anime Saving is going extremely low, so the Storm doesn't quite hit anybody just yet. And the re-engage once again coming out from paiN. Still stealthing up. Exoretsu on the front line. Celeste not where you want to be. Ends up getting cut down, and Falcon will find his next kill.
Double infusion from paiN, and still Elite8 decided to take that fight. I think they felt they had that Fountain advantage. They thought they did a lot of work with some supernovas, and they thought, well, we're actually winning even though they've got infusions. But a really, really slick turnaround from paiN. They're going to head towards that lane, try and get some pressure onto that tier 1 turret before the rest of Elite8 can respond. The minion wave has not favored the paiN push, however. It was balanced in the middle, and Elite8 should be there to defend it.
It's like kill not resulting in a lot. Oh, forced to core. Core Collapse is going to hit, but it's going to hit the fin, so he resists most of the effects. Now paiN marching forward. Those Heliogenesis are really starting to pack a punch as it's overdriven now.
Yeah, level 8, range advantage. Could be a bit more lax with the way you start spamming those Heliogenesis, and like you said, the damage output on the Supernova is also that much higher. When Jaegers 2 and a bit items. Picked up some shielding as well to make sure he doesn't die to Taka whenever Taka finds that Exoretsu opportunity.
Oh, speaking of that, he has found Jaegers, but should be all right. Core Collapse actually isn't going to quite land, but Gethium all did. Pushes him away for the time being. Now Muster's going to march forward also. paiN are all about the re-engage potential of Falcon. As soon as Exoretsu's back up online, he knows he can go in. So slippery on this Taka.
Again, just clearing the wave is the priority here for Elite8.
Muster just face checking, by the way, as well. It's going to just focus the turret for the time being. Wait for it to silence 2 members of Elite8. Can't really do all too much. Anime Save Me tried to get the Impale over the wall. Get the wall only onto 1 person. That person was Falcon.
There's a stun.
Just walked away from it. Nice stun onto Muster also. Solar Storm comes out. Only hits Jasmine Ferrer, but he's a very tanky Finn, so just shrugs off the damage.
Still, no way of taking down this first turret. The gold is pretty even between the two. They're actually backing off. I'm not sure why they're backing off right here. This seems like it's an opportunity for an easy push onto this turret from paiN.
Save me, left completely alone underneath his turret. Mustard's going to go in, doesn't quite find the kill, and in fact, now it is Heim that is actually forced out. Nice force to call onto two people. Heliogenesis hits Falcon and Mustard. They're underneath the turret, tanking the shots, but it doesn't matter because already Heim has fallen down, and now it's just up to Falcon to try and dispatch of this Celeste. She's in a 1v3, wrong place, wrong time. paiN take another kill.
Very, very ambitious use of the fountain there from Anime Save Me. He decided to hold it because he didn't think he was going to die. Didn't count on the final basic attack from Mustard landing, and obviously was able to hold on to his fountain. But I think that gave them, again, this false fountain confidence that E8 seem to have at this point in time. They always seem to think that because they have their fountain up still, they can take a fight and win it. But they were already on such low HP, they caught out official high, and they were split all over the place when Jaegers was nowhere near the safety of his own turret. They need to be thinking about their positioning, playing a Celeste more like you expect a Celeste to be played from that back line, with just Anime and Save Me providing that front line, body blocking almost, and just trying to bash away Falcon whenever he tries to find an X-Retsu.
We've not quite found that just yet. Broken Myth now online for Falcon, getting stronger and stronger by the minute. It's up to Anime Saves Me to just peel for Jaegers at this moment in time, but the problem is, can't seem to do that with the consistent engage potential that Falcon does have. Look at Muster on the flank here. Flank Vox, deadliest Vox. Moving forward, forced to Core, gets blocked. Core Collapse gets blocked as well. Muster just moving forwards, cuts down Jaegers. Nice wait for it as well. It's just going to go wide, but it didn't matter at all. Anime Save Me and Heim going below. Wow. Falcon finds the kill with the X-Retsu. paiN just on a steamroll, a mirrored game, it feels. Mirroring game number one.
Yeah, and they just found that opportunity with the Attacker to continuously apply pressure to Jaegers. Jaegers has delayed his damage build by going for the Aegis. It's not mattering too much. He's still getting blown up. You're seeing a very similar build come out from Mustard as well. He's going for maybe the double Tyrant's Monocle build. The full dive Celeste style coming out from paiN. As Mustard sits in that front line, I think just to sort of...
Storm. Ooh, didn't quite. Oh, that was close. Impale doesn't quite find it either. There's that Solar Storm. Boots pop, but an X-Retsu pops him. Goes back to base, and that is going to be a gold mine for paiN.
paiN very easily able to work their way through. And I've got to say, like, I don't think Jaegers has played badly, but some of the positional play from the Elite 8 team has been slightly questionable. Like Celeste frontlining for a long time, taking a lot of damage from Falcon on some nonchalant X-Retsus that were non-committal, and still Jaegers on that front line allowing Mustard to jump in and get the kill previously. But Falcon has been excellent on this Attacker. Like he utilized that early advantage that he got, looked to apply pressure to pretty much any target once he hit level 6 with that Aftershock. It's always good to have Aftershock at the level 6 spike for the Attacker. And at this point in time, Takka's really steamrolling ahead. No one on this team can officially easily shut him down. Takka is pretty much good into every member, maybe apart from Glaive, who has sort of a basic attack focused damage style. But Takka's great into Lance, and Takka's great into Celeste. It's so difficult to lock him down.
He's got such a Herculean lead. Even the Clockwork now picked up by Falcon. Playing Taka like a poke hero, just going in time and time again. Force to Cord is available. Big science actually onto Just We Know Pharaoh. There's the Force to Cord, does finally get blocked. Elder Treant or Treant? No, that's not going to root anybody up. paiN still pushing forward. That Crucible is down, so Mustard, that's free time on the turret.
He's going to X-Retsu into the turret here.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Core Collapse is going to get blocked yet again. Oh, the Afterburn doesn't quite find Falcon. He actually dodges over it. They do find the turret kill. Anime Save Me going fairly low. He's forced to back off here. Fountain Pot from paiN as well, just to keep them all nice and healthy. And that Crystal Sentry is just annoyed them slightly, so they're going to be able to dispatch of that quite quickly as well. No real fight here coming out from Elite 8. They're all too low, and in fact, a Fountain Pot from them as well will result in them backing off.
Sentry eliminated. Suddenly, this jungle half of the map is no longer a sanctuary for Elite 8. They're going to be forced further and further back. They have less places to hide, and they might even be pinned into their own base as we await the arrival of Kraken onto the Halcyon Fold. Sir Muster is taking a leaf out of Hundor's book, playing that double Tyrant's Monocle build with the Breaking Point and Poison Shiv. heavy dive onto the Celeste. You know there is literally just one purpose for this paiN composition with Attacker and this style of build from the Vox. They are looking to blow Celeste up. And remember, she wants 4 items. She's not going to get armor. So even if she's itemizing to defensively play against Falcon, she's not going to be able to itemize defensively against Sir Muster. So some way or the other, she's going to receive a boatload of damage from this paiN team.
Yeah, just being quick and efficient in their killing of the Celeste. You can see just by the scoreline right now, 0-3-0 on that Celeste, 4-0-3. Falcon really stepping up to the plate, proving why paiN are seen as the kings of their region. Kraken now on the board. We are 15 going on 16 minutes in. They're not letting off the gas pedal either. So Muster once again, look at this guy, just going for the flank Vox play. In fact, using the boost to get in as well. And they save me, forced to use the boost. Nice force to cord straight on top of Celeste. And that big core collapse was instantly blocked. She already goes down. No damage was outputted. And now Anime saves me. He's on the front line. He's going to fall as well. And that'll be a double kill for Muster. And that's going to be a Kraken taken by paiN.
Kraken going to get shredded here by paiN. And this should set them up for a push into the base of Elite 8. Now, Celeste can defend nicely against the Kraken, but realistically at this point, she's getting blown up in an instant. Let's take a look at that again. Celeste, great block onto the core collapse, just a dive from the Vox, and obviously finished off so easily there at the end. This was just after that very critical pull that the Finn made. Finn managed to land a pull onto the Celeste. She wasn't quite aware of it, slightly mistimed her reflex block, and that allowed this heavy critical strike build coming out from Muster to just rain that paiN down on top.
And with that Kraken on board now, it feels like paiN is just one team fight away from taking this series 2-0. No tiebreaker situation either. Improved on last Worlds already where they went 0-2. Now they are looking for the 2-0 on day number 1. Or 2-0 against Elite 8, that is. There is the science coming out. Hits Hunjaeger's core collapse on the turret to try and stop Falcon doing damage to it, but it ends up falling regardless. Must have taken a fair bit of damage as well, but they're going to focus down Heim. They take him out. Solar Storm onto 3 members, but most of the damage is just blocked up by the massive body that is Finn. Impale lands onto Muster. That Kraken takes 1 turret down. The next one's going to get focused soon as well.
And Muster basically just dodging things out, Kraken doing all the work, and you've got exactly what Attacker does. Dances between those turrets, dances between the heroes.
Muster diving underneath the healing platform. The crystal shatters, and paiN Gaming take the series over Elite 8, 2-0.
I think after that first game, you got the impression that paiN were just the team that were able to execute at a higher level. They really seem to emulate a lot of what we've seen from Cloud9, that kind of unfiltered aggression. Really, 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 really great stuff from paiN Gaming there. And honestly, diving onto the Celeste with Attacker in the Vox build, it was so difficult for Celeste to survive. You can't itemize double defensively against both the way that the Vox build and the Attacker. It's so difficult for Celeste to be able to sort of survive that onslaught.
Well, day number 1 has come to a close, and that is paiN Gaming take the 2-0 over Elite 8. We're going to jump down to the desk for the final time, and they're going to round out the day.
I'm just going to go ahead and unmute my microphone so I can talk to you, wonderful ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us across the course of today. paiN Gaming managing to finish off that series strong. A phenomenal performance coming out from them. A very clean game coming out from them as well. And paiN, you know, one of the big questions coming into this tournament was they're very far away from everyone else in the world. We don't get to see the Brazilian players stepping onto the stage very often. But apparently when they do, they are able to put up an international performance, and they have guaranteed themselves a spot in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, the first time in the history of Vainglory that a South American team has gotten past the group stage of an event.
An
absolutely incredible job by them.
Event.
Yeah, international event, yes. And it was just really, really well played by paiN in this series, able to take down Elite 8 and looking convincing while doing so.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal stuff coming out across the board, across the course of today. We have had some exceptional games here. Let's break that game down a little bit more just before we end out the stream for today. How are we feeling about paiN Gaming? What are their strengths moving on in the tournament? What was it that they were showing in that game that really put them over the edge against Elite?
I mean, that game, I actually like the Finn pick quite a bit just because of the fact that it does really well against Lance, but the way they played it is they kept on rushing in with it, using the boost to close the gap onto the Celeste, then using the Quibble to stun her down, locking her for the Taka, for the Vox to be to eliminate her, focus her down, and eliminate her quickly. So the way they use the Fin pick is something that stood out for me at least.
Yeah, and you look at the Fin pick and the way that it's played like that, the other team that we've seen in the past, recently at least, play a Fin and play it with that style is Cloud9 with Gabe Vizzle using the boots to charge in. So obviously you're taking a lot of lessons from their matches against Cloud9 and Cloud9's previous matches throughout this year to try and emulate the styles of what has been working globally.
Absolutely. Well, so far it's been working out for them, and paiN are going to be able to secure themselves a spot in the quarterfinals. So phenomenal stuff coming out from paiN Gaming, and that is going to be the end of our series there, coming out and the end of that group as well. Let's take a look at our groups at the end of today. Now, the groups games have not quite finished, but the broadcast for today has finished. Over in Group A, Cloud9 managed to go 4-0, and paiN Gaming have just locked themselves in for that second place position. So Elite8 are now out of the running in Group A. Group B finished with Kraken in first place, G2 Esports in second. Group C finished with Tribe winning that one out, and Impunity, the Singapore home crowd favorite, in second place. And then Group D is the only group to still be undecided. But this does mean that we know two of the quarterfinals now. Tribe will be going up against G2 Esports, and Kraken will be going up against Impunity tomorrow in our quarterfinals. Now, Group D, as you can see, is not finished just yet. Those games will be happening tomorrow morning. We're not going to make the players play beyond midnight. It seems unfair for the players to have to play that late, and it feels like the teams wouldn't be able to play to their actual potential. We wouldn't be able to see what they actually have to offer.
Yeah, the teams were given the choice. If they wanted to play tonight, they could have, but they did choose to play that was what they chose. They wanted to play tomorrow morning, so the option was there. In the spirit of fairness, if they wanted to just get it out of the way tonight, get that preparation that they've had and be able to have extra time tomorrow morning. But this is what the players wanted, and it's what they felt would give them the best opportunity.
Absolutely. And regarding broadcasting those games, make sure to check out social media. Everything will be announced on Vainglory Esports Twitter, and I believe Vainglory Twitter. So make sure to keep your eyes on that social media if you're a TSM, Ace, or Hunters fan, because Group D will be decided tomorrow morning. But that just about brings us to the end of day number 1 here of the Razer 2017 Vainglory World Championship. Gentlemen, final thoughts on today, because today has been an absolute doozy.
It was amazing. South America, Europe, and SEA making it through to the quarterfinals is huge. So Ace Gaming, it's all on you now. You're the sole representative for EA, man. You got to pull through tomorrow morning, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been really, really exciting to watch all these matches unfold. Yeah. Watching the 2.10 meta also being brought up, the trends being set, as well as some teams unfortunately heading back home after they won. Obviously, some were going to have to do that. If there is going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser, so unfortunate for them as well.
Yeah, and as Sujay was just mentioning, if Ace Gaming get out of their group, all 6 regions will be represented in the quarterfinals. That is unprecedented in Vainglory. That is absolutely amazing. There have been so many great games. The crowd here has been on fire. Even now as we approach midnight here in Singapore, there are still people here in the audience watching Vainglory, getting excited, and making their voices be heard. So you guys are the real MVPs of today.
Yeah, they definitely are. Thank you very much for joining us. That is going to be it from us here today, though. Make sure to tune in tomorrow as we will continue into our quarterfinals. Quarterfinals will begin at 2 p.m. local Singapore time. Make sure to check online for what time that is in your time zone. That is going to be it for us. Thank you very much for watching. Keep your eyes on social media for the Group D deciders. That's it from us, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
The attack of the pack. There comes the noise. Ball hits him. Gauntlet comes down as well. 2-man stun. Mr. Dog has to back out of there. Spectral Smite on the top of Cruel. Can he just take him out? Moore has just survived fighting for so long. Spectral Might takes him down to half HP, into the fray, straight on top of Tatsuki, ends up going down for first blood.